Hello guys, message in a bottle here. And what I wanted to discuss in this video is something that happened to me in my past, which is basically my ex. and no doubt that my ex left a both mental and emotional scar on me. And at the time, while I was in my early 20s, I was dating a older woman. In a weird way, I see that as a blessing because dating an older woman as a young guy, she's sort of passed down a lot of wisdom to me, especially when it comes to what should I look for in a relationship as a man. In other words, what should I look for in a woman if I want to have a long-term relationship? And this correlates to the picture that I'm using for this video. One thing that my ex sort of left me a mental scar on me is how she was describing herself in her past. And sadly, my ex was a stereotypical modern woman. The irony is that she's Hispanic, but she is not from a lower class Hispanic. She's from an upper middle class. And I want to say she was sort of from a wealthy family, but she wasn't that wealthy. But in comparison to other people around my social circle, she was definitely wealthy. But that's just my perspective. And because of her wealthy upbringing, she was sort of blessed with many things that you expect from a wealthy person. Now, she didn't have the best childhood, but she definitely had privileges that you expect from an upper middle class person. That being said, one of them that she's definitely blessed with is what she was born with, and I'm basically talking about her beauty. My ex, she definitely had beauty, and I've seen guys looking at her. So what this correlates with this picture that I'm using? Well, it's about one night stands. And yes, my ex did have several one night stands before she met me and we started dating. And the more I fall down to the rabbit hole of sex itself, the more I start to realize that sex should be treated as something sacred. Because if you start messing around with your body, start messing around with sex itself, you will utterly destroy yourself. And I've been falling down this rabbit hole of relationship, of the red pill, MGTOW, you name it. Anything that involves with relationship, I just research it religiously. And what I found is basically that sex itself, it's like bonding, a bonding mechanic for us humans, for we could program ourselves to stay with the other person that we're having sex with for the long term. And if you go around sleeping with strangers, sleeping with different people, you're going to build up anxiety. You're going to build up, well, how do I say this? You're going to leave an imprint on yourself with that other person. And that imprint is going to cause you to have memories of that other person. And it's going to be hard for you to enjoy the current relationship that you're in. And I hope this all makes sense to you guys because basically what I'm trying to say is this. When when you look up the research about divorce rates and the likelihood of a woman getting divorced if she had multiple previous partners before getting married, it all starts to make sense now. Basically, when a woman has sex with basically anyone, whoever is the female partner is going to leave an imprint on her. And that imprint is like a genetic memory. And that imprint is supposed to be a bonding mechanism for you to, you know, bond, properly bond, and stay together in the long run. But if you're no longer with that person, you're gonna develop anxiety and develop a feeling of emptiness. And sadly, I've seen this in my ex multiple times. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to defame or bully, like do online bullying. No, no, I'm not trying to do that with this video. The whole purpose of this video is trying to explain to you guys the danger of casual sex itself. And the more I fall down the rabbit hole about casual dating, one night stand, the sexual revolution, etc., etc., I come to a conclusion, and I feel like many people could agree with me on this, that all this is a way to destroy your ability to have a partner for the long run. Even relationships therapist, like one of the YouTubers that I follow, the way he say it and break it down, it all makes sense. But most importantly, even scholars and psychologists, people in academics, they straight up tell you that casual dating, casual sex will destroy you in the long run, because even them, they're noticing these patterns, they're noticing these fundamental biological bonding mechanism that the human body does to itself. And to my surprise, I even fall down the rabbit hole of mitochondria-ism. Sorry if I butchered that, but I'll leave a link down in the description below, and I'll probably will show a website page if I can. But yeah, and the reason why I mentioned my ex is because she was literally the living embodiment of that. As much as I want to show myself and show her in the internet, I can't. As I stated before throughout my YouTube channel, especially if I stay anonymous, but my ex definitely engaged in casual dating before meeting me, and sadly, our relationship didn't last long. In matter of fact, I think my relationship with her was the longest she ever had before it got destroyed. And sadly, she did the worst thing ever, which I'll talk about in a different video. But to put it briefly, she friend zoned this guy for nearly a decade. Once again, during that time when I was dating her, I was in my early 20s and she was in her early 30s. So yeah, we had a huge age gap. But I was kind of glad that I dated an older woman, because she literally spilled over some wisdom to me and made me realize what I should be looking for in a relationship, especially in a woman. And I was actually blessed to with, date a beautiful woman. But that being said, my ex wasn't nothing special. She was just a pretty woman, a pretty modern woman that could be replaceable, sadly. And sadly, all, all, all casual dating, all it did is basically made women disposable beauty, disposable meat for the chat guys to enjoy, and no longer call them back. And sadly, my ex had those experiences. Me, on a personal level, I didn't want to engage none of that. There were moments where I was tempted, but no. My intention was to engage in a relationship for the long run, and I was trying to do that with my ex, but I realized that that's not gonna happen. So I saved her the time by breaking up with her, which it turned out to be not at the right time. But I knew I need to break up with her. We were not gonna last for a long. And I clearly remember that when I decided to break up with her, for a brief moment I thought it was a mistake and I tried to get her back, which I shouldn't. And once I break up with someone, what I should have is stay with it. That's exactly what I did. I stayed with it, but There was a brief moment where I wanted to get back with her, but I shouldn't. But thanks to my ex, I realized that casual dating is a disaster. One night stand should not be something that people should do. In my previous video, I did state that when it comes to one night stand, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. And the reason why I say those things is because if you guys think about it, if you're living in a Western country, society is gonna let you do whatever the fuck you want because it's quote unquote freedom, especially when it comes to women. So if a woman wants to sleep around, that's on her, and society is not gonna do anything about it. She might feel shame, especially if people are gossiping about it, just like my ex. But in reality, no one is gonna stop her. Think about it, guys. No one is gonna stop a woman in a Western country from doing one night stands, especially if she's whoring herself out in the open, out in the clubs. But the problem is, if you're trying to engage in a long-term relationship, just forget about it. You, when a woman does casual dating, does one night stand, they're literally destroying themselves from having long-term relationship, from having that special bonding. Which once again, I fell down in the rabbit hole about sex itself. Sex, it's basically a mechanic to bond with another human being. And pair bonding, yes, it's a thing, guys. Pair bonding, for the long run, is a thing. But the problem is when you sleep around with many people, you're destroying that ability to pair bond. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that Western women are destroying themselves with their ability to pair bond in the long run. And thanks to our hedonistic culture, thanks to our casual dating, our obsession with one night stand, women in a Western country are destroying themselves. And the saddest part is that they're not. Well, I feel like they are aware of it, but they don't want to admit it. And that's the saddest part. They don't want to admit it that it's their fault and they're choosing on their own. And what's even sadder is that they're blaming on men, which I'm pretty sure that the guys that they're sleeping with are the top tier guys. Because that statement of women sleeping around with the most handsome guy, the top tier guys, I feel like that's more and more true because there is a statistic out there that says that male virginity is on the rise 3 times ever since the 1990s, I believe, while women losing their virginity is staying the same. Like nothing really changed with women, and that's all thanks to casual dating and one night stands. Well, guys, I'm gonna end this video here, and I'll talk more about this in a later video. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.